Let me be blunt. Gold is up around 40% this year. That's not speculation, it's reality. And if a portion of your savings isn't diversified into gold, well, you're missing the boat. Here are the facts. Inflation is still way too high, the US dollar is still too weak, and the government debt is insurmountable. That's why central banks are flocking to gold. They are the ones who are driving prices up to record highs, but it's not too late for you to buy gold from the Birch Gold Group and to get in the door now. The Birch Gold Group will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. You don't have to pay a dime out of pocket. All you have to do is text the word America to the number 989898 and claim your free information kit. There's no obligation here, just useful information. The best indicator of the future is the past, and gold has historically been a safe haven for millennia. So, what else is there to say other than to text the word America to the number 989898. Do so right now and claim your free information kit on gold. That's America. Text that to the number 989898 and protect your future today with gold. Terrence Bates here with your Real America's Voice Newsbreak. We appreciate you being here. President Trump is meeting with Hungary's prime minister as we speak. He greeted the prime minister, Viktor Orbán, at the White House just moments ago. You see Orbán pulling up here. President Trump is there to greet him. The two are set to have a bilateral lunch this afternoon. Viktor Orbán, of course, is one of President Trump's biggest supporters excuse me, in Europe. The two have had a very good relationship and seem to have a mutual respect. We, of course, will have more on this meeting between Viktor Orbán, the Prime Minister of Hungary, and President Trump for you throughout the day. In the meantime, you may want to expect longer than normal lines and angry passengers at the airport today, as around 800 flights are already canceled across the country. The Federal Aviation Administration is reducing traffic at the nation's busiest airports because of the ongoing government shutdown. There are 40 airports in more than 24 states targeted for a 10% reduction in flights. The FAA says it's starting with the 4% cut in flights today and will ramp up to 10% by next Friday. That's a quick check of your headlines.
Fact first. America first. Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. We are in the D.C. studio, Real America's Voice. Thanks to those gentlemen for making this possible. And Parker and Rob and the guys, phenomenal human beings. Also, we've got Sean Davis, CEO and co-founder of the Federalist. Amazing. Why don't you plug your stuff here real quick?
Yeah, check us out at the Federalist. I don't want to oversell what we do.
I want you to.
We are the greatest news and media site on earth at thefederalist.com, where you can sign up, subscribe, and become a donor. So, yeah, check it out, thefederalist.com.
So there was a clip here that is going viral. And Blake is, I know, excited to chime in on this as well back in Phoenix. So there's a 100-year-old military veteran from the UK, and this clip was posted 8 hours ago on Good Morning Britain. And basically, you know, we talked about Nancy Pelosi. She was born 15 years after this gentleman was born. So the crossover has been, you know, extreme. And we talk about how we have squandered so much of what the war bounty after World War II, defeated fascism, and then only to give it away, as Blake said, for, you know, cheap trinkets and ethnic food, and you know, a GDP and a skyrocketing deficit and debt. And so, and this is a theme that we've seen across the West as we've become more unchurched, as we've become more multicultural, as we've seen our own culture degrade and corrode, and the cultural cohesion really strained to the max. And so this powerful clip from this 100-year-old gentleman, you could tell he's not saying this in a mean spirit. And I think that's what makes it so striking. So let's go ahead and play it. 4:33.
Oh, Alec, I'm sorry you feel like that, because I want you to know that all the generations that have come since, including me and my children, are so grateful for your bravery and all that for service personnel. And it's our job now, isn't it, to make it the country that you fought for. You absolutely fought
that
for.
is it.
And we will do. We want to...
I'm so wonderful to know there are people like you that can spread the word around.
We will do.
Younger generation.
Whoops, we got the after there, before the before.
Yeah, the after. Let's go ahead and play the before. Yeah, 410,
please.
410.
The country of today. No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now. What we fought for, was our freedom. We find that even now it's downside worse than what it was when I fought for it.
The sacrifice wasn't worth what we've gotten from it, you know. I mean,
it's really gloomy.
Really
you can find
line.
There's another book. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. Lomas might remember. To tell me if you do. There was a book. It probably came out like 30 years ago or so, when there were more veterans still alive in Britain, and it was a similar thing, asking them how they felt about British society, and it came out over and over again that they said it felt like the sacrifices weren't worth it, because when they thought of the country they fought for, they thought they were fighting for Christian civilization, for the English people, for Britain as this free society of, that gave us all those constitutional liberties we care about as a British descended country: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the nature of Parliament and all of that. And then they just saw it get thrown away. They saw their country get rid of free enterprise and become one of the sort of most socialist, most overregulated, and as a result, most inefficient and like low growth countries. They massively roll back freedom of speech. You're now far more likely to get arrested for saying something offensive on the internet in Britain than you are in the People's Republic of China. You're far more likely to get in trouble for, some perceived like racist offense or homophobic offense there than you are in a bunch of supposedly more authoritarian countries. And on top of that, they see their leaders just openly saying British people deserve to be replaced, that there's no such thing as an English people or a British people, and they don't have a right to have a country that is presumptively their own. And it's so depressing, frankly, that this guy had to live long enough to see it become as bad as it did. I think he's realizing, he would have been luckier if he died a lot younger than he's living to be now.
I think also for me, this puts into perspective what we're doing here, okay? Like we've been talking about a lot of this like petty squabbling going on the right, and you hear someone like this and you got to take a step back and like realize these are like civilizational stakes here, and we got to remember who the enemy is and where the real forces of sort of decay and degradation are coming from. And I hope like the lesson for me would be, okay, we owe it to people like this, the memories of people like this, to preserve this civilization they fought for, and we got to refocus on what's really important here. We have like a situation in Minnesota with like this, negotiating a kind of like Somalian ethnic squabbling, okay, over who's going to be the mayor of Minneapolis, and you have, people trying to castrate children and stuff, and you go, okay, that's where the fight is. Can we refocus on the things that matters and get away from a lot of these trivialities that frankly are just distracting us from that?
I want to flag that in case people don't know what you're talking about, because it's so great. It's very quick. You mentioned the Somali ethnic squabbles. So this is getting reported on X that allegedly a significant number of Somalis in Minneapolis did not vote for Omar Fateh, the Somali candidate for mayor, because he is apparently part of the Dawood clan rather than the Hawiye clan in Somali culture, and they are hostile to each other. They don't like each other. Allegedly, the Ilhan Omar is also a member of the Dawood clan, so the Hawiyes also don't like Ilhan Omar over that. The remark I said was, imagine Ben Franklin saying, a nation of never-ending ethnic squabbles from the third world, if you can keep it.
Well, yeah, it's true. When you import the third world, you import every third world tribal, clan-based war, grievousness. You're bringing in all their battles and all their ancient hatred, and they're fighting it out in your streets.
Well, and listen, I mean, you know, it is sort of like an expression that Blake uses sometimes. We talk about advanced civilizational tech, right? Like monogamy is one of these really powerful civilizational technologies that tends to make men more productive. We focus on building our families, our businesses, our home life, as opposed to, you know, warring against this warlord that's got 30 wives, and we're sort of aimless and wifeless and childless. And so it tends to be this really amazing thing for society. But there's another thing about Western civilization that is so profoundly amazing, and that is that we've managed in many ways, not perfectly, obviously. The Scots and the Picts and the Welsh and the English would tell you that it's not perfect, certainly. But this binding together under constitutional systems and republics, and putting sectarianism and clannish behavior behind us. And really, what's interesting, and it has to be a bigger question, because I think you have to know the root cause if you're going to solve it, is why in the West, specifically the English-speaking West, did we decide that it was not okay to be proud of ourselves, to be proud of our national identity? Where did that happen? When did it happen? And what is the root cause? Because in some ways, you could define MAGA is a resurgence of national pride and people that have at least identified that they want to be proud of their own nation.
I think we have lost the courage, we have lost the confidence to simply say straightforwardly, our way of life is better than other ways of life. And when people come here, they need to assimilate into our better way of life. It's not just that it's different. The way of life we have here in the West is better, and it's okay to say that. We need to have the confidence to be able to say that, and I think, you know, we've lost the ability to just explicitly make that claim.
And you don't even really have to make the claim, you just have to point out the contrast. American culture is superior to Somali culture. Do you know how we know? Because look at there and look at here. It's better here. It's why everyone's coming here. They're coming here because they know it's better.
Well, I have one note on that, and Blake, I'd love for you to react to this clip. This is an Islamic Imam, and he's explaining how they plan on taking over America. Play cut 279.
Let's work towards that. Let's work towards a Muslim mayor. Next election that comes in, nominate people for the school board of education. Next election that comes here, nominate people for the local township. Begin the demographics change. People converted. There's a huge conversion going on in this country. Where are the converts? They just convert and they're gone in the wilderness. The other thing, children. Muslims have the highest population. Average, they did Pew Foundation did a research study, Pew Foundation, and they said that Muslim household average is 3.4 child per family. The white American has 1 child per family. We're already beating the march because these are voters. These are not just babies being born in hospitals. These are voters. That's the way a politician looks at it.
Yeah, so Blake, I mean, what Sean said is they come here because it's better. I think that's true of past waves.
No, they come just because they come here. They come here because it is better, but that does not mean like they aspire to the culture that made it better. They also can just say, you are a giant pile of money. You are a dumb rube that I can take advantage of. And like we've seen that, for example, with the Somali community, like they remain quite clannish in the Minneapolis area, not just their literal clans, but like they're sort of closed off. You remember the justification for Ilhan Omar, the defense of her marrying her brother included the fact that when she first got married, she did not get married under any governmental system. It was only within their internal religious system. And they're well known for having pretty elaborate operations to skim government money in sinister ways because a lot of them just don't really see it as any sort of moral offense. Like, oh, this is a giant spigot of government money and we can take it and use it for our own ends. It's like a way of making a living like any other. And yeah, there's this aspirational thing. They are a growing power. They can say, oh, we're going into this society and we are triumphant. We are on the march. We are growing. We can change it towards what we want it to be. And you see that assertiveness now in Britain. That's what that veteran is basically reacting to. Now you have Muslim members of parliament, and they brag about, you know, I'm running for Gaza. I'm running to destroy the state of Israel. I'm running to ban Israeli soccer teams from playing, their fans coming to the UK. That was the thing they did. And they, of course, brag, oh, we're Islamicizing the UK. We feel tremendous pain when we see, for example, a church converted into a mosque, which is happening in the US, it's happening in the UK, and they celebrate that. They have every reason to feel like they are winning and taking over. Why would they assimilate to a sinking ship?
Yeah, well, there's 50 plus Muslim majority countries in the world, and it's a simple question. And if you can't answer it in any sort of satisfactory way, then we've got a much bigger problem than most people are aware of or willing to admit. Why don't they move there? No, they're coming to the West, and there is a reason for that. I really quickly want to tell you about Alan Jackson, our friend over at Alan Jackson. He's got the Culture and Christianity podcast, the Alan Jackson podcast. What makes it unique is Pastor Alan's biblical perspective. He takes the truth from the Bible and applies it to issues we're facing today. Gender confusion, abortion, immigration, Doge, Trump, and the White House. I'm going to tell him to do an episode on Islam, too, by the way. He doesn't just discuss the problems. In every episode, he gives practical things we can do to make a difference. His guests have incredible expertise and powerful testimonies. Each episode will make you recognize the power of your own faith and how God can use your life to impact the world. So check out the Culture and Christianity podcast. You can get it wherever podcasts are available, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else. Just make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And if you want to find out more about Alan Jackson, go to alanjackson.com/Charlie, alanjackson.com/Charlie. More with Sean Davis, Lomas, Jonathan Kooperman, Blake Neff, and myself. We'll be right back.